Hi, Dawn Lewis here, and today I have a card project for you featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies, a little lawn fawn, Copic, and a really cool masking and emboss resist technique. I'm using mostly Tiny Heroes stamps and dies by Mama Elephant, some sticky notes, white embossing powder, and my heat tool. I'm stamping with embossing ink, but I'm using a little blue distress ink as well as the tool on blending card. My card base is top folding. I have Memento Tuxedo black ink, a little board for my heat setting, double-sided tape, Misty stamping tool, plus I'll use an acrylic block, and a selection of Copic markers and some super old pattern paper. These are the stamps and dies I'm using today. If you're looking for Mama Elephant or Lawn Fawn in Australia, you can find it at dawnlewis.com.au. But now it's time for us to get inky with Tiny Heroes. I love this top girl on the hero set. She's got a big swishy ponytail, and I'm stamping her in my Missy because it's the first time I've stamped her, and I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink because it's Copic safe, and I know I'm going to have to stamp her more than once because it's the first time she's been inked up. So I've cut a matching die from a pretty small post-it note, and it's a little larger than the stamp, but that's a good thing. I'm using a cluster of stars and single star, and I am going to switch them over so that I'm not stamping them together. Stamping with embossing ink, and I wish I'd added the powder earlier and more frequently because the first couple I stamped did dry a little bit. I'm using a white embossing powder for the emboss resist technique and brushing off the excess with a really old brush I keep on my desk. I love my new IKEA chopping board. It means my desk is safe when I heat, and I'm going to pop that mask back on, and this is such a cool technique. I saw Jennifer Maguire do it ages ago, and I've really wanted to give it a go. I'm using Salty Ocean Distress Ink, and see I'm working the ink really well into the pad. It's a new foam pad, and I'm starting on the mask and I'm working out. So I want to have a gradient effect, and I want that blue ink to go over all of the stars that I stamped and embossed to give kind of a flying in the sky look. And we're going to peel off that mask. Ta-da! One clean stamped image, and see that white halo? It just sets her out from the blue inking I've done around her. And of course, I'm colouring with Copic markers, and you'll find all of the colours in that top right hand corner. And over on my blog, I'm going to link to everything there, and there'll be a full list of materials, and the link to that is down below. Or if you're on my blog, the details are already up there. You just have to scroll up and look. I did stick to a primary colour scheme. I mean, heroes, you just think primary colours, don't you? And I tried to make the blue nice and strong so it would stand out from the background. And given that Wonder Woman's just been released, I went with black hair. I mean, how gorgeous does she look with that dark, bold hair? I was pretty happy with this one. So now it's time to put it all together. I've sliced just a strip off the edge of the stripy paper, and I'm going to stamp a greeting just on a scrap of white cardstock that's been kicking around my desk. May as well use it all up. And I'm using an archival jet black ink for this because I'm not Copic colouring it. It doesn't need to be Copic safe. And I love how dark and crisp the archival jet black ink is. It's my favourite for greetings. I'm using a ruler on a mat with my favourite craft knife to cut out my greeting, adding adhesive, and I'm popping that on some black cardstock just to create an even border around the outside. It's really going to make it pop because a white greeting on a white card isn't really going to stand out, you know what I'm saying? I'm using foam tape to give it that extra lift because it is a very flat card. Let's be honest, it's a really flat card. I checked the orientation of my card base before I stuck everything down because we don't want it all upside down. That's just no good to anyone. And I'm adding the stripe paper, and I'm just butting that up so the paper's not going over the top of the blending card. They're meeting exactly together on the seam, and I've trimmed all the overhang off with my large scissors. And once I got this greeting on, I kind of went, it needs something. I mean, she's a superhero. She needs some bling. So I pulled out some sequins, and I'm using red and white and blue sequins. It's very patriotic and very hero-like. It also fits in with my colour scheme, so I didn't want to go too heavy with the yellow because you know me, I like red, but I did end up adding in some really small silver sequins as well, just so I could have a little extra variety, and I like the tiny size of these ones. I've used a black glaze pen on her eyes, and then I am doing my new favorite thing, and that's stamping a handmade stamp on the back. I'm using some red ink. I happen to love my Stampin' Up! Red ink. It's an old one, and this is from the Just For You stamp set. So if you need some handmade stamps to add to your projects, Just For You has so many different ones in there. It's a great set. I also decided to put something inside the card, and I'm using Believe in Yourself by Lawn Fawn, and the little stamp here says I believe in you, and I thought that that was a really good one to add to the center of the card, and I got it nice and straight first go, which was a great relief to me, I can tell you. So here is the finished card. I do hope you enjoyed this little project. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, why not? Get in here and be first to know when I have a new tutorial video happening here on YouTube. I do hope you have a super crafty day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.